Just imagine this for a moment. You get into your car early in the morning. The sky is still dim. The cup of coffee in your hand is still steaming. You plug in the charger and exactly 5 minutes later, the battery gauge jumps to full. Not 30 minutes, not 1 hour, 5 minutes. Then you drive away. And you do not need to stop and charge again, even if you are driving from Los Angeles to Seattle more than 100 miles without stopping. Sounds like science fiction. That is what most of the world still thought, at least until a few weeks ago. Because for years, people believed that solid-state batteries, the technology often called the holy grail of the electric vehicle industry, were still at least a decade away from mass production. Too many problems remained unsolved. Too many technical barriers stood in the way. Too many promises had never become reality. Every year, analysts pushed the timeline further away. Last year, they said 2030. The year before, they said 2035. And over time, the industry learned not to trust big claims anymore. But then Toyota spoke. Not through a flashy launch event with a glowing stage. Not through a live stream watched by millions of people. Just a closed-door meeting in Toyota City, Japan, with a few dozen senior executives, selected investors, and engineers who had spent an entire decade working in IL. Silence. No performance, no special effects, just numbers. And those numbers froze the entire auto industry. 200 miles on a single charge, a full charge in under 5 minutes. No cobalt, no nickel, no dependence on geopolitical supply chains. And most importantly, not a laboratory prototype. This is a battery that has already been tested on real roads in real conditions across 4 continents. Within 72 hours after the information leaked, more than $46 billion was wiped from the market value of traditional automakers and battery manufacturers. Electric vehicle startups that had once been hyped to the sky suddenly lost their shine. The biggest corporations in America and Europe quietly called emergency meetings. And the biggest question right now is no longer, are solid-state batteries possible? The question now is, how did Toyota do this without anyone seeing it coming? Is this truly the turning point that changes the entire game? Or is it just another wave of hype waiting to collapse? And if Toyota really succeeds, what does that mean for the rest of the electric vehicle industry and for consumers' own wallets? That is what we are going to explore today, layer by layer. Before we go deeper into the story, if you enjoy technology and electric vehicle analysis videos like this, hit the subscribe button right now. We release new content every week, and this is a topic you really do not want to miss. How long has the lithium cage kept us trapped? To understand why Toyota's announcement caused such a real earthquake, we need to go back a little, not too far, just about 3 decades. In 1991, Sony introduced the first commercial lithium-ion battery. At the time, it was seen as a miracle. Compact, rechargeable, higher energy density than anything that had come before. Within 10 years, it was inside laptops, mobile phones, digital cameras, and eventually electric vehicles. Tesla, Nissan, GM, and then the entire world began building on that foundation. Giant factories were constructed. Supply chains stretched from cobalt mines in Congo to factories in South Korea and China, then back to the United States. An industrial ecosystem worth hundreds of billions of dollars was built around one single battery chemistry, lithium-ion. But lithium-ion is not without limits. And after 30 years, those limits are starting to show more clearly than ever. First is the energy density problem. The best lithium-ion batteries today store about 250 Wh per kilogram. That number may sound abstract, but its consequences are very real. For an electric car to travel 300 to 400 miles, you need a battery pack weighing up to 1,000 lb or more. That is why most electric cars today are heavier than gasoline cars in the same segment by 500 to 1,500 lb. All that weight affects how the car drives, real world, energy consumption, and production cost. Second is charging. Even with the most modern fast-charging technology, 350 kW direct current fast-charging stations, you still need around 20 to 30 minutes to charge from 20% to 80%. And that is under ideal conditions. In reality, with very hot or very cold weather or with an older battery, that number gets much worse. Compared with a 3-minute gasoline refill, this is still a huge psychological gap that many consumers are not ready to cross. Third, and this is something people talk about less, but it is extremely important, is safety. Lithium-ion uses a liquid electrolyte which is flammable. When the battery is damaged, overheated, or punctured in an accident, it can catch fire through a chain reaction called thermal runaway. A fire that is almost impossible to put out with normal water and can completely burn down a vehicle in just a few minutes. These electric vehicle fires do not only cause property damage, they also create a serious crack in consumer trust. And fourth is raw material supply. Cobalt, an important component in the cathode of lithium-ion batteries, mainly comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where mining conditions have been widely criticized for human rights violations and child labor. Lithium largely comes from the South American Lithium Triangle and Australia. Nickel comes from Indonesia and Russia. These are supply chains stretching across unstable geopolitical regions, and any disruption can bring major consequences for the entire global electric vehicle industry. This is the lithium cage. The industry has lived inside for the past 30 years. No one wants to be locked in it forever. But no one knew where the key was until now. For years, Toyota appeared to be lagging behind in the EV race, while Tesla, GM, and Ford made headlines with bold electric vehicle commitments. But this wasn't stubbornness. It was camouflage. Behind the scenes, Toyota was running one of the largest battery research programs in automotive history, with thousands of engineers and billions of dollars aimed not at improving lithium-ion batteries, but at replacing them entirely with solid-state technology. The challenge they faced was the same one that defeated dozens of companies over 20 years. The interface between solid electrolyte and electrodes develops microscopic cracks from expansion and contraction during charging cycles. Toyota bypassed this by creating a proprietary ceramic polymer matrix that flexes without cracking. They paired this with a graphene-infused anode that nearly eliminates dendrite formation, the metal branches that degrade batteries and cause short circuits. The results are staggering. Energy density jumps from 250 kg to 450 kg. The battery is 30% lighter and 15% smaller than current packs, and it withstands over 2,500 cycles with less than 8% capacity loss, meaning a potential million-mile battery life. The breakthrough extends to charging. Toyota's Hypercharge system delivers 2.2 megawatts, 6 to 9 times more powerful than today's fastest chargers, enabling a full 0 to 100% charge in under 5 minutes. To avoid grid overload, each station pairs with on-site energy storage units that charge slowly from the grid and discharge rapidly when vehicles plug in. Safety is equally revolutionary. When punctured, the battery doesn't catch fire or explode, and it releases 90% less heat than conventional lithium-ion batteries. Cell-to-frame integration makes the vehicle 28% lighter than a RAV4 while being stronger and safer. Production is already underway at Toyota's Motomachi plant in Japan, with 2 automated lines producing 250,000 battery packs annually at a 91% yield rate, far surpassing competitors struggling to break 70% in trials. A new gigafactory in Thailand is being built from scratch for solid-state production, with a goal of 80% domestic component production by 2027. The first vehicle built on this platform, the Toyota X1, promises over 1,200 miles of range, real-world closer to 958 miles, a 5-minute full charge, and a starting price under $30,000, potentially surpassing the Corolla as Toyota's best-selling model ever. However, significant caveats remain. The range figures come from controlled testing, not real-world driving. Production capacity of 250,000 packs annually is tiny compared to Toyota's 10 million vehicle sales. The $30,000 price is unconfirmed and may be optimistic, and independent third-party verification of battery lifespan is still needed. Toyota faces fierce competition from China's CATL, 37% global market share, targeting 2027 commercialization. South Korea's Samsung SDI partnering with Stellantis, and American startups like QuantumScape and Solid Power, which have repeatedly missed timelines. Meanwhile, GM, Ford, and Stellantis have committed tens of billions to lithium-ion plants that could become obsolete if Toyota succeeds. The implications extend far beyond automobiles. Toyota plans to expand into home energy storage by 2026, potentially powering homes for 2 days on a single charge. Industrial-scale storage could revolutionize renewable energy reliability, and even aviation applications become feasible with 450 Wh/kg energy density. The technology's cobalt-free design could reshape geopolitical supply chains, reducing dependence on Congo and China while giving resource-poor Japan a new strategic advantage. If Toyota scales production to millions of packs annually, it could transform from an automaker into one of the world's most important energy suppliers. The race has fundamentally changed. It's no longer about whether solid-state batteries are possible, but who will master them first. Toyota currently holds a significant lead, but the gap between laboratory success and mass-market reality remains treacherous. The X1's launch timeline, real-world performance, and actual price will determine whether this is the revolution it appears to be, or another overhyped breakthrough. One thing is certain: the rules of the automotive industry have been rewritten, and the next few years will reveal whether Toyota has truly pulled the future into the present.